Good afternoon, students. Today's session that we have planned in this video lesson is all about micro teaching. And in micro teaching, one of the very important skill, which is the skill of illustration. Let us proceed in that and let us understand. So basically, in this particular skill, the common questions in the mind of the student related to illustration and example, how do we use it in a teaching learning process, and apart from that, what if I go wrong with the examples, and what is this illustration all about? These are the main frequent questions that the students have in the mind, and this is what arises in any teacher trainee's mind. So let us first understand the components related to the skill of illustration. And as you can see in this particular slide, it has different components, out of which the first one is the easy example that the student can use. The second one is a cohesive, related example, relevant example to the unit. And the third one you can see is an interesting example with any topic or any grade that you want to use. You can elaborately, show and make the topic more interesting. The next component is appropriateness of the medium, what you want to use. Suppose you want to use a device, you want to show some object, that would be your non-verbal, and while showing that, you are bringing the understanding by using certain words, certain phrases, so that becomes little verbal. So depends upon the medium you want to use. The next you can see is the approach with which the teacher becomes more clear with the content knowledge of the student. And in that, basically there are two. We will deal more elaborately in the next slide with it, but right now just mentioning it, it's inductive and deductive approach in teaching, and the responses of the student. If there are any negative, we are converting it into good responses, and let us understand it more better, how we can use the objectives of this skill. What are the main objectives when we are using the skill of illustration? We use it because we want to make the lesson more interesting. We want to make the lesson more related, meaning something that is known to the students. From there we are dragging the understanding towards an unknown area, which can become later on interesting to the student. To make complex things more easy and more interesting. To make multiple senses and fronts by the use and the style of different objects and things like this, to make the student more elaborately understand this concept. Let us proceed further to understand that the simplest example that we use, what does the teacher deal with this particular topic. When we are teaching skill of illustration, we use simple examples, and then we use towards the more complex ones. The basic principle that you have with this skill is mainly it is utilized for concept formation, which the student has from previous learning, but then sorting those and bringing it to the more complex one, that is what the skill is used for. The skill also gives additional information to convey with examples the more relevant areas, and brings the focus where the student needs to pay more attention. So complex illustration, the student brings from a confused state of mind, you are bringing the student to a more focused point of view, where he will not or she will not miss out any point. So therefore, always the best part is that the teachers trainees should begin from a simple to relevant, and then make it more interesting to the topic, so that you would elaborately understand this particular concept with more examples. Suppose I deal with the first component, which is formulating simple example. So what is simple example? The teacher is starting to teach any topic with a simple illustration and example, and moves to a complex in ascending order. And while doing this, the teacher is taking the best use of the previous learning of the pupil, and it should be according to the age, the grade, and the background of the pupil. Another thing which you can see as a component, that formulating relevant example. Here basically the relevant concept, when the concept or the rule can be applied to it, Basically, it means that you are progressing from a small minute concept to the more larger size. So you formulate more relevant examples and proceed to the next. As you can see, there is another component in this particular skill, which is verbal and non-verbal. These are mainly two approaches, dual approaches, in which during teaching learning process, what does the teacher need to do? The right choice of the medium of illustration should be chosen, and the right method of illustrating should be also used. So basically, I am taking 4 to 5 examples related to one topic, and according to its relevance, I am incorporating it as concepts or ideas in my topic which I want to teach. And that is the one of the approach. Many times students are also motivated to dwell both inductive and deductive together. So basically, that is also one of the understanding of this component that we would deal next. Uh, we will progress further. So when we relevantly explain one example to student, and somewhat the student is drawn very close to the concept, then we bring in another interesting example to grasp the curiosity and the keenness of the student, so that the student very interestingly understands what is the main idea and judges the concept according to his ease or her ease. So by involving the student, what does the teacher do? With those examples, the teacher is trying to clarify the concept, and in other way the rule is becoming more clear. So basically, the concept is given and then the rules are formed. So it rightly helps the student to understand the concept. Now, the skill of illustration is why it is used. It is used for many abstract ideas and concepts which are very difficult to teach. Now, there when the teacher puts real effort in terms of teaching it in the right sense, in the true sense, many concepts becomes very clear, and this mastery of the skill of illustration is the reason required for teacher trainees. So let us come to the main significance. Why is this skill so much important? Because when you master this skill, there is a command and effectiveness in you as a teacher trainee that develops, that brings a lot of conscience in you, and your the skill, the effectiveness, it grows so much that we do remember many things. We try to create also at times with realistic examples, mental images which can give result oriented teaching. So that is the effectiveness of this particular skill. Lastly, I would like to cover that in this particular skill, what we try to do is that we use attraction, attention, aiding, retention, and then aid to that retention by boosting a lot of phrases and understanding by creating context. I hope the skill was understood to my students. Let us meet in the next video. Till then, stay blessed and thank you very much. Bye.